Boom, we are live on the free Facebook community, the client closers. Yeah, this is going to be a very juicy one because you're going to get to ask me any question you want. And I'm doing this exclusively on this community. Very, very important to keep that in mind. I'm not doing this anywhere else. Typically I will, for these, sometimes I will go live on my YouTube channel as well. But I really want to make sure that I want to keep this one exclusive for you guys. So hopefully you've come with questions ready. I know I haven't done any hyping for this. I haven't done any like scheduling or anything like that. So it's kind of a surprise. So maybe we don't have anyone turn out. If that's the case, then I'll keep rambling on. But I'm gonna wait for people to start tuning in and go ahead and put your questions in the comments. I'm not going to be able to see your name probably, most likely. But having said that, very, very excited to get right into it. Now, while we wait for a few people to tune in and to get the notification, a little update on the agency. A few things that I've been seeing here and there. I spoke briefly with Tal on the talk show yesterday. If you guys haven't watched that, I strongly recommend you do. Spoke with him briefly on this whole thing that's been maybe passed around and it gets pushed around every single year. Saturation, right? Is the ecom agency space saturated? Can we still have success with it? And the answer is 100% yes, right? Not only that, but the ecom agency space, if you look at the growth rate of the ecom agency space, is growing more than ever, right? And so, this whole idea of like, it's saturated and, you can't get results with it anymore. It's just, plain and simple. It's just false. So that's one thing to keep in mind. If you look at the growth rate of e-commerce, it also far exceeds the growth rate of ecom agencies. So, this whole, just if you look at it from a very analytical point of view, that fails. And then the second thing is understanding that we are in an echo chamber, right? So you see a lot of people talking about SMA, but if you go grab a drink with your friends, you'll be most likely the only person who knows about this space, right? And so, keeping that in mind. And the final thing is understanding that if you're good, right? And so if you actually know what you're doing, what you're talking about, then you're not going to have any problem. So yeah, I'm going to get to this first question: how to build relations in Instagram. So the thing about Instagram and really the thing about any social media platform to be used as essentially as a means to get sales is you have to understand the power of a profile funnel. And what a profile funnel is more of a three-dimensional outreach approach, right? And so what a lot of people focus on when they start an agency and when they start selling their services is two-dimensional playing fields, right? And two-dimensional outreach methods. Like, for example, an email, right? So email outreach is very two-dimensional. You send out an email and they cannot see your face. They can just see a bunch of text, right? And it's the only outreach, the only touch point you're having with them is through that message, right? When it comes to an organic profile funnel, like, for example, selling on Instagram, like, for example, selling on Facebook, like, for example, selling on LinkedIn, the reason why these are very powerful is because they're more three-dimensional. Yes, you're sending them a message, but the touch point that you're having with them is not only the message, is them checking out your profile as well, right? Them checking out your content. If you connect with them as well, right? So for example, if on LinkedIn you connect with them, they're going to start seeing your content on their feed every single day. You're going to have that top of mind awareness, right? And so this brings me to your question, which is how to build relations on IG, as well as on really any platform that you're doing outreach on. The easiest way is, number one, make sure that you have a really solid bio, right? A really solid bio that ideally is kind of like a Trojan horse, right? You don't want to state in your bio that you're helping, let's just say apparel and fashion brands scale to 8 figures, right? Using paid ads and then connecting with apparel and fashion brands. Why? Because then that directly calls out to them that you're going to sell them on something, right? And so it's much better to disguise yourself as a colleague, as a peer in their space, right? And you're going to have much more success that way. For example, creating the next generation of fashion brands is going to work way better than saying, "Hey, I want to, I essentially sell paid ads to apparel and fashion brands, and you're literally in my prospect pool." Okay, so that's the first thing: having a really solid bio. The second thing is making sure that you have some sort of content, and essentially you have content around your profile, right? It doesn't mean that you have to create TikToks and reels and all this shit, right? That a lot of people think content production is, right? No, it literally, having written content suffices. You don't even have to show your face too much, right? Having written content suffices. The key is to not seem like a fly-by-night opportunist that is just trying to make a quick buck. So content. So we've talked about bio content, and then when it comes to the outreach, right? You want to treat it more. Essentially, you need to understand the context of the platform. You need to understand the context of the platform. What I mean by that is, if you go on a social media platform, you cannot treat it like sending out cold emails, right? You cannot treat it like that, because on social media, you want to type almost like a 16-year-old girl, right? You want to have short, punchy, send out a bunch of text bubbles, not like a big, long paragraph. You want to make it seem like it's something that belongs on social media, so they're not reminded that someone's going to sell them or something, right? And so the three key things that I would focus on is understanding where they're currently at, right? So having a genuine conversation around understanding where they're currently at, where they're trying to go, and then proposing something, an offer that is enticing, that is juicy, okay, that is going to appeal to them regarding where they're trying to go, right? And so, for example, maybe they're currently at 50K a month with their ecom businesses. With their ecom business, they're trying to get to 100K per month, but they're really struggling with their targeting on Facebook. Okay, cool. Then what you can propose is a quick 15-minute call covering some of the targeting methods that you're currently using in that specific space, or a competitor of theirs is using in that specific space, to generate an extra 30K in 12 days or something like that, right? Something that's gonna really appeal to them. So that's how I would build relations on IG. So for those of you watching on live, and obviously for those of you watching on replay, just go ahead and comment hashtag replay. And if you're watching live, then just go ahead, put your question on the chat. I'll probably, if there are no more questions, then we'll go ahead and we'll end it soon. But we've got, okay. So hi Jaime, do you think that digital marketing would work for crypto NFT trading apps? If so, do you have any ideas of good services to offer them? 100%. One of my students is making 400K per month with his NFT agency, which is under the umbrella of what I teach, right? Which is the building an ecom agency. Anything that is sold online, boom, it has huge opportunity, right? And so a lot of people think that ecom agency is just ecom brands. No, Web 3.0 is a massive, massive sphere. In fact, I've done a bunch of videos on my YouTube channel where I talk about some of the hottest niches, and I've talked extensively about Web 3.0 and the opportunities there. So 100%, it's an insane market. And for example, you could take NFT, right? The NFT space, and you could help NFT collections, essentially sell out, right? And you could take a percentage of the mint value on launch date, right? So for example, what could you do to help them sell out their collection? You could help them. Have you guys ever seen, I'm sure if you're in the entrepreneur space and you scroll through IG, you've probably seen, pages like NFT.money, right? Like a bunch of NFT IG pages that constantly post about new collections. All those people, most likely, hopefully, they're securing the bag. All those collections are paying to be on those pages, right? It's influencer marketing 101, and so and page shoutouts 101, right? And so you could help them get on these pages and start building out hype for their collections so that they sell out on the launch date. So that's an example for you, right? And you could take a percentage of the money that's generated on that launch date, on that and part of the mint value, and that could be a big bag, right? If for example they're selling 10,000 NFTs, right, and they sell them, total mint value is 4 million, and you're taking 10%, that's 400K, right? So yeah, a lot of opportunity there. I've also worked with a lot of crypto. Well, not a lot of because I vet my clients quite extensively nowadays, but a lot of crypto apps have, a ton. Like pretty much like every single week I'll get 4 to 5 different crypto apps wanting to advertise with me, either through my organic content or as a client of my agency. And there's a lot of opportunity in the space, and understanding that an ecom agency doesn't only have to be for ecom brands. I personally love the ecom brand space, like the pure the most pure, ecom agency in the most pure sense. But there's definitely, Web 3.0 is a massive market, and it's only going to get bigger. And that's what excites me about the ecom agency space. And that's why when I see someone, say, or when I get questions like, oh, is it saturated? No, it's only getting bigger, right? Web 3.0 is part of, selling things online. It's part of e-commerce, right? That's just where e-commerce is transitioning. We used to sell things on the street in markets, right? Then we switched to, boutiques and stores and, malls and shit like that, right? Now it's shifting, it shifted over to the internet, and then Web 3.0 is just an extension of that. So yeah, that's that. Guys, let me know in the comments if I'm lagging a little bit, because I feel like I am, but maybe live is coming off well. Cool. I'm having trouble choosing a subcategory. Is there any that you recommend? I'm not sure if because I cannot see your name. If you were in my mentorship, you would understand. You understand that subcategory is not like a sub niche. Like there's different terms there, but I'm guessing you're not. So for me, a subcategory is very different. So it's just terminology, right? So for me, what you're probably asking about is a sub niche within e-commerce. And really, is there any that you recommend? I mean, I've done a bunch of videos on my YouTube channel about like some of the ones that I recommend. For my students, I go through the options that they have, and then we have a selection process there as well. But really, like every single, and you're probably tired of hearing this from me, but every single sub niche is gonna have huge potential, right? Like, you guys know Tal, right? Because I go live with him, but he crushed it doing outdoor recreational brands, right? I've got students in my community who've done sustainability, who've done vegan, who've done black-owned businesses, and they're still having success. So like, every single sub niche works because these are 100 million, if not billion-dollar industries that no agency is tapping into, and so any single sub niche would work. You just need to kind of ask yourself, what is something that I already know a little bit about, or I wouldn't mind learning more about, right? What is something maybe that I've done in the past, or maybe I have a little bit of knowledge on? And finally, what is a space that I see booming in the next 6-8 months, right? Because you don't have to be a sub niche specific agency for the rest of your existence. You just need that leg up at the start, that specialization, because it helps you grow faster. So yeah, that's what I would say. There's not really any that I'd recommend specifically, but they're all good. They're all very good. So that is that. Let's see if we get some more questions coming through. In the meantime, I'm gonna share. What could I talk about? Oh yeah, I'll talk about this because I've been getting a lot of questions on it on Instagram. I got so basically this person paid some hackers to get me banned on IG. I got banned twice, and basically I had a bunch of insider connections that got me unbanned recently, decently quickly. So that was good, right? Because it's never fun. But during this whole process, I learned a few things. And while I tell the story, you guys can drop your questions on the chat. But I learned a few things, and maybe I'll make a video on this. And these are things that I've been pondering and thinking about and realizing the importance of as of late. This instance just reinforced that. But some of the lessons that I learned is, number one, the importance and the power of having a network. When you start out, this whole notion of like, oh, I don't know the right people, I don't have the right network. Like, you don't trust me, you don't need a really good network to get to 10K per month. You don't need to have insane connections to even get to like 50, 100K per month, right? I don't believe in this notion that you have to know the right people in life. Like, no, like, getting to 10K a month is not rocket science if you have the right guidance, right? And I see, they essentially every single day in my community, right? If you guys follow my stories, you know that. But you don't need any of these connections. But as you start growing, right? As you start getting maybe more eyeballs, as you start disrupting an industry, you're gonna have people. It's called I think the tall puppy syndrome or something like that. Maybe I'm butchering, but you're gonna have people that are gonna try to essentially fuck with you, take you down, and that are gonna see you as a threat, right? And so in these cases, you do have to know, having that support structure is very important, right? Because no person in this world has achieved great things alone, right? Again, you need a huge support network and to get to 10K a month. Not really. I do think you need mentors, you need a community 100%, right? But you don't need to know the top people in the world, right? But that's really the first thing. And so understanding that, to be honest, even at any scale, it obviously depends on the network, right? But you need a community, you need people that can help you. And luckily, I had the right connections and the right people inside these platforms, and the right people that knew some people inside that could troubleshoot and help me solve the situation, because it's never fun, right, to get deplatformed. It's never fun. So that's really the first thing. The second thing I learned, and this is kind of tied to this first point, it is so insanely important nowadays. Like these platforms actually, these platforms and the people that are in these platforms have probably as much power or even a little bit more in many senses than the government, right? And so more and more I realize just how important it is to know people that have the right connections in these in these companies, right? Especially if you're building something online, especially if you're building your personal brand, or if you're putting out content, which if you are watching this and you're not putting out content either to attract clients for your agency or for whatever it is, like I don't know what you're doing, right? But knowing the right people in these platforms is so incredibly vital, because these platforms, as I said, have so much power nowadays, right? They control so much, and so that's really the second thing that I would say. The third lesson, and I haven't written this out, so I'm just going out the top of my head, but the third lesson is emotional control. Look, this is not, this is definitely not the hardest thing that has happened to me, even as of late. Okay. But you have to understand that especially in the world that we live in today, we're actually told to emote, right? And show more emotion, especially us men, especially us men, right? With this whole thing about toxic masculinity and all that stuff, like we're shown to be to show more emotion, and I don't think emotions are, showing emotions is not like a bad thing, but if you don't control your emotions, it really is very detrimental. Emotions are useful because they tell you something is up, right? And so if you feel a certain way, then you can kind of spot the trigger, and you can kind of spot why something has made you feel that way. And then it helps you navigate that situation, right? But it's important to be rational about things, okay? So getting to my point, emotional control. A lot of people in business, people that are starting out, right? People that, as you continue to scale, there's going to be a lot of things that there's going to be a lot of things that move you off center, right? For example, if you are starting out and you get a no, a lot of people don't have the emotional control to take that no and just see it for what it is. It's just something you can learn from, right? A lot of people take it personal, and they feel like they're not, that no reflects on them, right? And because they've got a no, now they're less of a person, they're less successful, right? They're less of an agency owner. When in reality, you just have to treat those things as, for what they are. It's just a lesson, right? And you can take that no and learn from it, and then keep moving forward, right? And so having that emotional control and being able to detach emotions is really one of the differentiators between the people that actually get results and the people that don't. A lot of people in situations where they're in this situation, for example, where I'm blackmailed or I'm banned or someone's coming after me or whatever. This is just an example, right? A lot of people panic, right? And then they act on that panic, and then they make the wrong decisions. They start negotiating with the hackers, and they start negotiating with the blackmailer. I think that's how you call it. And they essentially make a string and series of bad decisions because they cannot control their emotions. And this happens all the time, not just for this example, right? I want to extrapolate this and apply it to so many situations. Emotional control is one of the literally superpowers that you can have as an entrepreneur, and really as someone who's navigating through life, right? Being able to see emotions for what they are, detach from them, and continue to do the work and make rational decisions, make the best decisions moving forward. So I think that's really the third lesson. And yeah, I think maybe I'm forgetting something. The fourth lesson would be that diversification is massively important. Anything can go. You can wake up tomorrow and you can be deplatformed, you can be canceled, you can be, I don't know. We live in a weird society nowadays, right? And it moves very fast. So understanding that it's important to be ready for shit that comes up. It's important to be combat ready. It's important to be be agile in the world that we live in today. So yeah, I think those 4 lessons, and the reason why I wanted to share these is because if I can take something that has happened, and extrapolate some of the lessons that I've learned, or some of the lessons that I've been seeing, even up to this thing that happened, and share them with you guys, then I think that's a win for everyone. So yeah, is by far it is definitely not the hardest of things that I've dealt with in life, not at all, to be honest. But I got a lot of responses and reactions when I talked about it on my Instagram story, and a lot of people wanting to know the tea, and wanting to know who these people were, and some people were just curious, and someone wanting to kind of learn how I navigated through the whole thing. But yeah, these are some of the lessons that I learned, and hopefully you can take something away from that. Cool. And the final question, or if you guys have any final questions, I think I'll hit it for another 3, 4, 5 minutes, because I do have an engagement in a bit at 5:30 p.m. Madrid. So how is this decision developing a good discipline for you? Some days I do good, others I don't. So I've talked about discipline on my TikToks, on my YouTube channel before, but I think the key to discipline is not relying on motivation, right? And so some days you're going to feel like it, some days you're not. And it comes back to some of the things that I talked about emotional control, right? You cannot be guided by emotions. It's literally one of the worst ways of living life. There are days where I wake up and I don't feel like doing the work. I still do it anyways, right? And so how do I still do it? Because I've built the routines and I've built the habits, and I've got it scheduled into my calendar, right? And then not only that, but I found a way to have accountability, right? And so, for example, that's why in my mentorship, we literally have someone, an accountability success coach, assigned to every single one of my students, because accountability is massively important as well, right? Setting KPIs and metrics is massively important as well, which is something that we also do for our students, right? And so, yeah, it's important that you understand that there's going to be, the people that you see getting a lot of shit done in life, they're not the most motivated people. They also have those days where they don't feel like doing the work, right? They do it anyways. That's what separates the people that get results and the people that don't, right? The people that get results, they do the work even when they don't feel like it, right? And so some of the more like, things that you can implement, make sure that you schedule things in advance, right? Like your day, especially when you start out, right? Especially when you're building yourself up, right? Your day should be planned to the T, to the minute, right? Every single hour, every single minute should be slotted, right? Like I'm doing this here, I'm doing this here, I'm doing this here, I'm doing this here, and this is when my day ends. And then even after my end ends, I make my tea at this time, and then I go to bed at this time, right? Especially when you don't have discipline, this is when you should be doing that the most. Okay, so scheduling things in advance. Then building solid routines. There's certain things that you shouldn't think about. As you build the routines, the great thing about routines is that first you will have to think about these things. You will have to schedule a lot of things in, but then it will become a habit, right? So for example, for my morning routine, I don't have to schedule in every single thing that I do in my morning routine, because it's just a habit. I just do it, right? I wake up, cold shower, then I make my tea, then I take my tea and I go to that sofa right there and I drink my tea and I meditate, right? And then I do my journaling, I do my gratitude, I write down my goals. And then I go for a run, depending on the day. But depending on the day, I will either go for a run and then gym, or I will get straight into work and then gym after. So make routines, and then the final thing is accountability, right? So have people that are actually you keep each other accountable, right? Or they're checking in on you, right? Have deadlines. So yeah. All right, good. Jaime, I got a question. How often do you take breaks? Are they a priority to you? Yeah, I mean, obviously getting enough rest is definitely a priority, right? Because then I don't have longevity. Okay, so you can't have the yin without the yang. You cannot do the work without having the rest as well, right? But what I typically do is, so the way I think about rest is I kind of I'm black and white usually, right? And so I go hard and then I rest, but at the same time I also schedule in rest time during my work. And so, for example, I get really good sleep, right? That's one of the things that I prioritize. That's one of the things that is a priority for me, right? And really, there's no better thing than like for rest than sleep, right? Like for me, taking a break, for example, is not watching Netflix. Taking a break for me is not sitting on the couch and watching a bunch of videos. That like, sure, that is, I am, it is technically a break, but it's not the best quality of rest, right? And so I go, okay, what's the one thing, what's the one thing that actually gives me that rest, right? And it's definitely sleep. And all the other stuff is not nearly as important as sleep, right? And so I then prioritize my work, and then I prioritize sleep, and that's the way I take breaks. And then every single, I love traveling, and so every quarter, for example, I will do a big trip, and yeah, I also leave time for spontaneous trips where maybe I do work during the trip, but maybe I don't work as much, right? Like I do have the privilege nowadays where I've built incredible systems, I've built an incredible team where if I wanted to, I could work 2 hours a day and still could keep the machine running. So yeah, definitely a priority. You just cannot have longevity without rest. Do you suggest any community where we can network with people like us? Yeah, 100%. My mentorship is the best place, right? My paid mentorship, especially because we keep it tight knit, right? And so if you're looking to actually get real results and get accelerated results, not easy, not in a day, right, overnight, but accelerated results simply because we have a lot of personalized one-to-one interaction. We have a tight-knit community that actually supports each other. You're not one in thousands of people in a video online course, right? And so that, if you're genuinely interested in taking things up a level, there's limited slots. That's how I'm able to keep it tight-knit, right? And so if you're genuinely interested, what we do is we go ahead and we have an application call. And there's going to be a link right below this video where you can go ahead and apply if you're genuinely interested. Cool. And then finally, probably I want to hire a media buyer for my agency, but the majority of media buyers are rejecting me because I'm just starting out and I have no clients. They're not rejecting you because you don't have any clients and you're starting out. They're rejecting you because they don't believe in you, right? Like what is the underlying reason? Is because they don't have belief and they don't want to waste their time, right? And so what you want to do in this hiring process, like for example, the reason why my students from the get-go, without any clients, without just starting out, they still get A players. The reason why that is because we are more professional and we come more prepared and we ask better questions than 99.99% of agency owners, right? And so when you do that, even better questions than people that already have clients, right? And so when you do that, and they also see that you have massive abundance of candidates, right? And sometimes they have referrals from myself. When you do that, then you attract the right people, right? So it's not so much that you're starting out and have no clients, because that conversation usually never comes up for my students and they're starting out and they have no clients, right? That conversation is coming up because they see something in you, right? For example, they don't see confidence oozing from you. They don't see like a protocol or a system that is professional. That excites them, that gets them believing in you, right? And this applies the exact same thing applies for when clients start asking for testimonials and referrals on a sales call, right? A lot of people think that this is the normal thing, but even if you don't have any clients, right? If you've done the sales call in a way that just conveyed a lot of confidence in what you have to offer, you gave them an incredible process to results, you had an insane understanding of that sub niche. They don't really ask for testimonials. They don't really ask for referrals, right? Because this worry doesn't even come up, right? Doesn't even register. So something to keep in mind, right? It's not so much that you don't have any clients, and that's the reason why you're not attracting the media buyer, is because you're behaving in a way and your systems and processes speak way louder than you not having clients, right? And so that's why that conversation is coming up. Oh, do you have any clients, or are you just starting out? Why? Because your actions reflect that. That's why one of the things that I always say is, like, if you are looking to start and scale the agency past 10K per month, you have to already act like someone who's making 10K per month, because otherwise you're never going to attract that reality, right? It's not about faking it till you make it, right? It's not about lying. We never lie, right? It's about doing the things that someone who's at that level would be doing, right? Carrying yourself in a way that someone who's at that level would be carrying themselves in. So that is that for this live Q&A session. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, drop a massive thumbs up. Hope so done. And if you are, again, genuinely interested in scaling the agency, we've got 12 slots every single month for the mentorship. Currently, we're down to the final 4. So there's going to be a link to apply for one of those slots. You will see that a lot of calls we cancel. So there'll be a bunch of questions. If you're genuinely interested, make sure that you fill them out to the best of your ability. And then you also have a free training down below where I show you, I pull back the curtain on some of the systems and processes that I've used to scale my agency to 200K per month, and some of the systems you can use to scale the agency past 10K per month plus. So that is that for this live Q&A. I will see you on the next one.